My man Czar make tracks like this.
What's going on, y'all? I want to show you the Waves F6 Dynamic EQ. This is a new EQ that Waves released a few weeks ago, and I've been using it in a lot of my mixes. And I figured that I would only use it when I needed a dynamic EQ, but the more I've used it, the more I've realized that it's really a great EQ that also can do dynamic EQ. I like it a lot better than the dynamic EQ I've been using. Just this F6 does a lot more and really takes it a step further than the dynamic EQ that I've been using. This dynamic EQ has high pass filter, low pass filter, it does mid side, and also has 6 bands, and it lets you external sidechain into each of these bands. I'm going to show you 3 ways that I've used it during mixing so far. One of the things I really like is the UI of it. It's nice and bright and big. I like big plug-in GUIs. It's just easier for me to see. With this mix here, the first way I used it on this mix is I'm using it to duck 60 hertz out of the bass when the kick drum hits. So let me find the bass, which is here. And we're going to solo that, and we're also going to solo the kick. So normally when I do this sidechain compression, I'm using a compressor and I'm ducking the whole bass signal. With the dynamic EQ, I'm able to duck just a certain frequency. So you'll see as I play this, as the kick drum hits, you'll see the 60 hertz here on the EQ ducking. Okay, so I'm finding that I prefer that more than ducking the whole bass with the compressor. Well, actually, I've had one mix so far that it didn't work well on, but it's good to have the option with this dynamic EQ to duck just that frequency. Now I'm going to play it, and I'm going to bring the F6 in and out, and you'll hear that a lot of times the bass and the kick drum share the same frequency. You'll hear them both there with the bass and the kick, but you'll notice when I engage the F6, you'll notice the kick drum becomes more clear, and that's because when the kick drum is hitting, it's ducking that 60 hertz on this EQ. Okay, and I guess let's take it a step back and let's just talk about what is a dynamic EQ. A dynamic EQ is, in a way, a compressor inside of an EQ. What it allows you to do is we have 6 bands that we can use here, and you see I've got attack and release on each of these bands. So what I'm able to do is to, just like a compressor, set a threshold, attack, and release. And the range here is going to set the range of gain or cut that you want to do. So you'll notice on this band 1, I've got 8 dB of cut here. And so the range is the maximum gain reduction you're going to get. And so by setting the attack and release and the threshold, whenever a signal crosses that threshold, depending on how you have the dynamic EQ set, it's going to boost or cut, just like a compressor would react when you cross the threshold. Let's move on to the second way that I've used it, and that is using it as a de-esser, using it to soften some high frequencies. So here is lead vocal in this song. I've cut a little bit of the low mids. I'm not using any dynamic EQ on this second band. All I'm doing is just cutting some low mids. I've used the high pass filter, and on the top end, I'm removing some of the, not removing, but softening some of the S's here, and I'm using it as a de-esser. I like to use compressors as de-essers a lot because I can really set the attack and release the way that I want to, where a lot of de-essers don't give you that ability. With the dynamic EQ, I'm able to set the attack and release the way that I want it. So I've got a 7 millisecond attack and a 335 millisecond release. So let's listen to this vocal. Let's solo it here first. Let me find it. Here, I believe this one is it.
She ate us. Woo! Fuego. Questville is all about the pesos. I been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll. I done burnt up the block, gotta lay low. Oh, you went bro, say it ain't so. You gotta work every day, no days off.
So you can see how that high end is really reacting to the S's in this vocal. Now I'm going to play it, and I'm going to bring the EQ in and out.
She ate us. Woo! Fuego. Questville is all about the pesos. I been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll. I done burnt up the block, gotta lay low. Oh, you went bro, say it ain't so. You gotta work every day, no days off. I be thugging with it, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation.
And with the F6.
Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation.
What we're really paying attention to is the S's in that first line. Without it.
Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation.
And with it.
Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation.
So I can use the dynamic EQ to really soften that high end. I'm already cutting some of the high end, but when it crosses that threshold, I want it to apply more of a cut with the EQ. And I'll play this, and I'll bring in the this low mid band here and just bring it in and out so you can hear the difference. Without it, we're getting just a little bit of low mid buildup, and without it, it's just going to clear out and clean out some of that low mid here.
Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questville is all about the pesos. I been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll. I done burnt up the block, gotta lay low. Oh, you went bro, say it ain't so. You gotta work every day, no days off.
Okay, so just a small 2 dB cut there really helped clear out some of that low mid. All right, I'm going to switch to another session to show you another way that I've been using the F6. Okay, so on this mix here, I used the solo feature on the F6. This is a drum loop that the snare hit was really harsh when I cranked the mix. So I used the F6 to cut some of the high mids there where that harshness is, and I did it dynamically. So in the way I found it, we've got a solo. I've got a solo option here. So I'm going to bypass this, and I'm going to play this loop so you can hear how harsh that snare hit is. Okay, so what I was able to do, and this is a lot easier than me boosting and sweeping, even though I knew that the frequency was in the high mid, I was able to really zero in on it by hitting this solo, and then we can sweep and look for it. And there it is. So I'm going to now play, let's turn that on. And so this is it with the band 5 that I've got EQ'd here dynamically. And I'll bring it in and out so you can hear how the F6 dynamically is affecting that the high mids here. to make that snare hit less harsh. Okay, so that's the F6. I want to go over just a few quick controls that are on most Waves EQ. If you hold the command and click, you can go through your filter types: low shelf, bell, high shelf. And if you hold Option, you can then change your Q. And let's go to the second band. If you hold Shift and click different parameters, you're then able to link certain parameters together, and this can make for some really interesting automation effects. All right, so that's the Waves F6. Again, this is a really great EQ, and I really thought that it was a typo when I saw that the introductory price for this was only $29. I paid $99 or $149 for the dynamic EQ that I've been using, and like I said, this just really takes dynamic EQ a step further with the added features on here. So $29 is a really great introductory price for this EQ. I'm going to leave a link in the description if anyone wants to purchase it through my referral, and comment. Let me know what you think. If you've been using it, let me know. Love to hear what everyone's been using it on. All right, I'll catch y'all next time.